Well, it was very unexpected because he was a healthy, active farmer, and he just woke up and not feeling well. And once we did finally get to the doctor, they found out it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it was an 8-month battle that changed our life from the moment they said the word cancer. On the morning of my 47th birthday at the hospital, they pulled me aside and they said, "Mrs. Niederman, we can't fix your husband." And then the reality set in, and he passed 2 months later. It was the hardest thing that Bob had to do, was to tell our kids that it's cancer. We had kids in high school. We had a daughter that stepped away from college for a year so that she could help me take care of our youngest. And everybody had to step up. And even the kindness of strangers, bringing meals, helping with the work here on the farm was so life-saving at that time. We knew what was happening. We knew it was a terminal diagnosis, but you can never prepare for the stark reality of that separation, of that physical person who was your support. I had 5 kids looking at me going, "What's next?" I knew as a parent I had to do something because I didn't know anything about grief. I didn't know how to care for my children. And I lost my husband, but I did not want to lose my children. I received the information from the funeral home, the service program, and in that was a handwritten letter from Sheila and Companions on a Journey support system. And I knew that I had to get help, and I knew that's where I had to go for help. So I started the first meeting. I went, my daughter went with me. I couldn't talk. I couldn't say Bob's name. I couldn't even say the word died. All I did was cry. But that group of individuals, there was no judgment. They understood that my heart and my head were catching up, and the reality of my situation was sitting in front of me, and going into a support group made it a little bit more real, and that I needed that help. So I kept going, and gradually I was able to get through a session without crying and just start to learn. The first year of grief, I was like all about the kids. The second year of grief, I woke up and realized I am not going to get an award for being the perfect widow. There is no Academy Award for faking a happy smile. So the second year that I participated in the Companions on a Journey, I had to work on myself. I want to understand the grief. I want to learn how to deal with grief, and I want life to be good again. I want life to be good for them again. I want them to know that their dad loved them, and he was their biggest fan, but he would not want us to sit down and quit because he's not here. So as the time has gone on, we've continued working, we've continued building the farm. His legacy was relationships with people, with the community, and providing a space for them to have fun and make memories. We have continued that, and we hopefully will continue that legacy. And it's so awesome now that my grandchildren are here playing on the same things that Bob built for our kids in the community. You hear that analogy of you have to put your own oxygen mask on first when you're on an airplane? It's the same thing. I had to put my own oxygen mask on so that I could turn and help my children. And when I saw the services available that COJ offered to the kids, not only was it beneficial to me, I was able to then get my kids involved in their programs as well. In the long run, it was also helpful for me because I have a 7-year-old at the time, and I didn't know what a 7-year-old understands about grief. And part of the training in the Companions on a Journey was to teach me to look for her delayed grief. That delayed grief hits when they're teens, preteens, and sure enough, my daughter that's 17 now, about 13 or 14, she had that delayed grief. Basically, she was grieving like the kids and I grieved during the funeral, and that first year process, she experienced it, but it was several years later when her little mind and heart was able to comprehend what the loss meant.
Hi, my name is LeAnn Niederman. I'm a senior at Lakota East High School and I am 17 years old. My dad passed away when I was 7 from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Throughout the years, I had gone to the little Christmas ornament making COJ events with my mom. I didn't get involved with the COJ at school until freshman year. When a child loses a parent or someone close, it doesn't really register until later in life. So I think for me that was more elementary, like later elementary school rather than I was in 2nd grade at the time. So it changed, but also my mom made me her focus. It was hard, especially like middle school, elementary school. I didn't really talk about my dad much just because I didn't know how. I would get a little emotional, or I'd start to feel like I was getting choked up and I'd be like, what do I say? I don't know what to say. But now being able to share it with other people in the group, and it's a smaller setting, so it's people who understand what I'm trying to say, even if I can't always put it into words. Because of course you can mention it to your friends of, oh yeah, my parents passed away, and they'll just be like, oh, okay, and they don't really know how to respond, which that's not their fault at all. It just it's a conversation stopper, so it doesn't come up a lot. So to be able to talk about it with people who understand what you're going through and can also share what they've been going through, it makes you feel not so alone, so that's good too. I know I've had some friends, unfortunately, who have lost a parent in the past couple of years, and they have been hesitant to go to COJ, and I have yet to get them. Don't be afraid to come. If you don't want to come, that's perfectly okay, but just know that there's still people out there who are going through the same thing as you. We're all going to go through the journey differently. We're all going to be at different stages of the grief, and everyone's there for you. At the end of each COJ meeting, we all turn to the next person and we say, I am there for you. And it's one big circle until we just make the whole group says, I am there for you.
I just want to thank Companions on a Journey for being there to help my family. It's such a crucial time that they were available, they were funded, they were staffed, and it saved my children, it saved us. And it's so important that we as a community rally around COJ and provide the support they need, the goods and services, whatever we can do, because grief will affect all of us at some point, whether it's us individually or a friend or a family. And it's so nice in our community to have a resource that's ready and available. My daughter made this when she was 12 years old. She stitched his initials in a little handkerchief, and she made that part of her wedding bouquet with his picture. At graduations, we put pictures out. We just want Bob to be included because he's a part of our lives. I also want my kids to know that I didn't quit. I wanted to quit. The day Bob died, I didn't want to wake up either, but I had to go on. So in that amount of time, I've done some really crazy things. I've learned life is precious and you only get one chance to do some things. So I competed in a triathlon. I ran a 10K, and I'm not athletic, but I just had to do it for Bob. So at the end, I had his picture. I've been whitewater rafting. I hiked one of the highest mountains in Gatlinburg. Just some crazy things that I would not have done if it wasn't for the opportunity to learn that life is precious and fragile, and we just get one chance to do some of those things.